happening in both ways. Actually, I got to see if I won the lottery on Saturday night. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. Yes, I do play the lottery now. So many people in California win the lottery. I'm like, oh shit, well, I'm going to win. So anyhow, I wake up one morning, I have a hemorrhage. How do you know that you're having a hemorrhage? It's like a faucet was left on. It is dripping out blood from your vagina. It was like that. And the toilet bowl is filling, your pants are filling. I'm like, oh my God. I call 911. The hottest EMTs that ever showed up in my lifetime come to rescue me. Oh my God. It was like a scene from fucking ER. I swear, George Clooney was there. I was like, oh my God, how am I bleeding out of my vagina? And like, holding a diaper and, trying like, and having this massive hemorrhage. Get to the hospital. They do an emergency repeat DNC. Dr. Kelly Orzechowski, by the grace of God, happened to be in that Thursday morning, saves my life, saves my uterus, because right before I'm going under, they say, you have to sign this disclosure. You could lose your uterus, if we can't stop the bleeding. Miracle. They stop the bleeding. I go for like 4 or 5 methotrexate shots over the next like month or two. And then I have to wait 6 months. And thank you, God, I end up having my healthy son. So it was wild. For those of you going through it, there's some things that people want to know. Is there a way to know that you're having one? The only way you know is through a sonogram or through a blood test, like a genetic test. You go for 12 weeks. Most people miscarry anyway in the first like 10 weeks. And then you find out that there's either just bleeding and no tissue. But the only way you know is basically through an OBGYN diagnosis. Is there any way to prevent a molar pregnancy? No, you can't. You didn't do anything wrong. It's a chromosomal abnormality that is very rare, that just happens. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not something you ate. It's not something in your environment. They've been around for 100 years. Sadly, women died from them. They just exist. Isn't that weird? It's crazy. What if you need to go for cancer treatment? All I can tell you is you have to do, like, if something like this is happening to you, the best thing you can do, I think, is look into and ask around for the best doctors that you possibly can. I did research on the cancer doctor. I actually went to a Dominion Fertility in Virginia. The guy there knew the cancer doctor that was treating me. And he was like, the guy's excellent. You're in great hands. If a doctor is saying that about another doctor, that's a good sign. Ask around, do your homework, get the best doctors and treatment that you can. Can you go on to have a healthy baby? 100%. That's the crazy part about a molar pregnancy. They're so rare. The chances of them happening again are very slim, although they do. And yes, you can go on to have a healthy child. The other thing is you have to get help. Like any woman that has a miscarriage, it's the most traumatic thing you ever go through. And it's hard to explain because you especially at any time, because you haven't even met this little fetus, but there's just so much invested in this tiny little thing. And the best thing you need to do is go and get help. Talk to a therapist, because when you do get pregnant with a healthy baby, and this goes for a woman, whether you're having a molar pregnancy miscarriage or a regular miscarriage, you're going to have a healthy child at some point, and you don't want all this anxiety and fear carrying over to the other baby. You want to have a healthy pregnancy. Of course, there's going to be anxiety, but as much as possible, talk to people. Join groups that help. I didn't love the Facebook groups. I find with Facebook groups, for the most part, when it's like a health issue, there's always a couple of people that take over the group, and it's like doom and fucking gloom. Everything that could possibly go wrong with them goes wrong. They're like on there and they're like, I'm having a molar pregnancy. My dog was run over. My husband lost his job. You're like, okay. And then they like dominate. And then everybody's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Which I understand, like some people need that. They need that reassurance. I just found that it was like these doom and gloomers were the 3 that led the molar pregnancy group. And they were like, this doesn't happen, but I have like the worst case, and God bless them. I wish them well, but I just couldn't be around that. So I went to regular therapy, and I highly recommend that. All right. There it is. If you ever have questions about molar pregnancies, you can always DM me on my Instagram at the Sarah Fraser Show, or it's thesarahfrasershow@gmail.com is my email. I'm happy to help in any way and recommend any doctors I can if you're going through it. Other advice that people have wanted to know from me recently that I've gotten DM'd, you can DM me anytime. People want to know my advice on growing a brand. As the Sarah Fraser Show podcast is 7 years old, has been near like the point I mean, I almost quit because it's been so hard at times to make money in this business, to grow. The biggest thing I can tell you with a brand is I think it's hard. I think you should 100% do it. I do think it's harder than ever because everybody is building a brand. So I think you need to be in it for the long haul. It's going to take a while. And I think you need to take chances. Don't do what everybody else is doing. And I'm so guilty of this at times. I'm so guilty of this. So do as I say, not as I do. But the biggest thing I think you could do is what makes you unique and lean into your uniqueness. That's different than having a niche. A niche certainly helps. I am a pop culture podcast, okay, with a niche of a lot of reality TV. I also do other things. I like to interview people that are outliers in life. A woman that's married to a chandelier, guy that was a porn star that's now a pastor. Find your unique, what makes you unique in your brand. And just know that it's going to take a while. It's going to take probably longer than it did 5 years ago and 10 years ago. People are inundated with so many things. And the other thing that's really helped my brand and business is try to partner with people that are in your category that are a little bit bigger than you are. So for me, I partner with David Yontif from Behind the Velvet Rope over the years. I mean, amazing comedian, Andrea Lopez Comedy, and Natasha Elisa, who, if you're in the DC area, you know, she was famously married to Kane from the Kane Show. I knew her for years when we worked together with Kane. Try to partner with people that are along your brand because they help share their audience with yours and can help you grow. People want to know, how do you make friends in a new city? Well, this one is easy for me because I will talk to a bedpost, you know. Like if I were Tom Hanks, you know, in Castaway, I wouldn't have any problem. I would have made BFFs with Wilson, the ball too. Like I have no problems talking to everybody. If you have kids in a city, I think that's the easiest way to make friends because you can go to the parks. You got to put yourself out there. I think the biggest thing is you have to go out, which is hard because a lot of us are now used to staying in because of the pandemic. Put yourself in different situations. If you're moving to a new city, I used to be so afraid to go to dinner and sit at a bar by myself. But then in DC, before I met my husband, I would do that. I'd go to the movies by myself. I'd sign up and go to I'd try different things. I did the nation's triathlon. Never fucking again. Okay. Those weren't my people, but you know what I mean? I don't want to bike 25 miles. Okay. Or swim a mile and then jog 6. No, thanks. Pass. They were not my folks. All right. But you know, you got to try different things. It requires effort and it requires you not getting your feelings hurt. To make friends as an adult in a new city, you got to go up, you got to give your phone number. If people text you, they text you. If they don't, they don't. And you can't take it personally and you got to keep it moving. Last question. How did you go from hating children to wanting to be a mom? I'm struggling. All right, this is the truth. Like people that know me know I never liked kids. Like I didn't know if I was ever going to have children. I never babysat in high school ever. Like I worked at a bowling center. I worked at a inn as like an innkeeper. I worked at a nursing home. I would have rather wiped old people's asses than wiped babies. Like I didn't want anything to do with kids. But I'm a person, when I turned like 34 or 35, my biological clock kicked in and I was like, oh my God, I want a baby. Like it was just like, it truly was like the biological clock kicked in and I became obsessed with babies in ways like that I never had before. And I always tell women, because I think women really struggle with this. If you even are curious about having a kid, if you look at a baby and you think, oh my God, what would that be like? Have a baby. Do not wait. Have a child. Freeze your eggs, make a plan, buy some sperm. It will be the greatest decision of your life. When you see these little kids, these babies look at you and just, I mean, they will follow you anywhere. They love you so much and unconditionally. And yes, they're a pain in the ass, but they're the most rewarding thing. And nothing is better than laying down at night after you're exhausted from this child. And then all you want to do is scroll through and look at pictures and video of how amazing your child is. It is the greatest. It will restore your faith in humanity. People love children. They love to support mothers. Like I have found all this kind of BS of like, oh, moms aren't appreciated. I don't know. It's a whole nother tangent for me. I've never found that to be the case. I've always found people that are like, hey, how you doing, mama? Like postpartum, what can I do to help? Like people are so understanding, men and women. So many men love kids. They want to help. I think it's all about, it's a curiosity. There are some people for sure. Oprah Winfrey is one of them who always said she just knew she didn't want to be a mother and she's so glad she wasn't. I think people have that and you should honor that too. Because I also know a lot of people who haven't honored that and it makes for a very tough road to be a parent. So to me, it's just a ping. If you're curious and you're like, God, I really, I kind of think I want to, but I don't know. It's so much work and who would be the daddy? Freeze them eggs, girl. You will not regret it. Greatest decision. But like my friend David Yontef, who I podcast, he wants nothing to do with kids. Doesn't like them, doesn't have any interest, wants to go out and party, doesn't want. I'm over that phase of my life. I don't want to be hung. I don't need to be hung over one more minute. I want 2 more babies. I love it. So there you go. All right. You guys can always follow me on my TikTok at The Sarah Fraser Show, Instagram at The Sarah Fraser Show, YouTube. All these podcasts now go up to I don't know, a week later. So it's never in sync. But, if you want to watch it too, The Sarah Fraser Show on YouTube. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Bye. Okay, hold on.